Good afternoon, everyone. It's Carolyn Brown here from Career Care Package. Naish is away for the day, so I am flying the ship. No, steering the ship. I told you, Dre, I botched the introduction. I'm steering the ship solo. I'm flying the plane onto the runway, and we're going to land a really fantastic show today. And it's actually episode number 200. And Naish asked me to buy a cake, which I didn't do. So we're going to have episode number 201 and eat with a cake. So, but today, I know, 200. It's fantastic. Today, absolutely delighted to bring on a good professional and a good friend of mine, Dre McLaughlin from Job Search Queensland. He's a job search strategist. He's a coach. He's an all-around fantastic guy. And we're going to be talking about 5 habits, 5 key things, 5 things you should make a habit to fast track your job search. Dre's coaches a lot around this stuff, and it's going to be a fantastic discussion. If you've got questions, please put them in the chat. We will definitely answer them, unless it's way over our head and we'll just probably waffle on, like Scott Morrison does, for example. Anyway, I'll leave that one. Dre, fantastic to have you here. Do you want to give people a bit of a background about you to kick the discussion off?
Yeah, Carolyn, firstly, I just want to say a massive thank you for having me on again. So I really appreciate it. And I love whenever we get to catch up as well, because we caught up last week. And I guess, me, so originally from the UK, I've been in Australia for coming up to about 13 years. I won't go into the story, but I moved over for an Aussie girl. And we spent some time over in England, and then her visa had run out. She was like, Dre, are you going to come to Australia to be with me because you love me? And originally I didn't want to because of the movie Crocodile Dundee. So I thought Australia, all of Australia was like that. So I thought you guys had the Opera House, and then everything was sort of like red dirt with people wearing the corkscrew hats and like a bit of knives around the school on like kangaroos. And yeah, like the sharks, snakes, spiders, drop bears. But I came over for holiday, went to sunny coast, Gold Coast, and absolutely fell in love with the place. So with my background, it's recruitment and sales, and I absolutely love, both recruitment and sales. And those are typically the people that I help as well. So I've got a range of coaching services and programs and things like that as well. So Carolyn, I'm pretty disappointed. So I'm happy that it's the 200th show, but I'm missing out on the cake.
Yeah, I know. Naish specifically said to me, go and buy a cake for today. And I said, sure, I'm going to go to the bakery on my way back from the beach and I'm going to buy a cake. And you know what? I completely forgot about it. So yes, but we will celebrate with a cake, definitely. I might even bake one. I'm not sure. But yeah. So I guess 2021, what are you seeing in terms of, employment trends, job search trends? Are you seeing anything different from the hellhole that was 2020?
So for me, what I'm finding is that like the clients that I've been dealing with, that's all really I can speak about. So with sales, there's lots of sales jobs out there in Australia. So like your Sydney, your Melbournes, and your Brisbane. So there's no trouble in people actually getting sales jobs. However, I've got a couple of clients in America and Canada who are finding it, pretty tough.
Yep.
One of the things that's coming up that I'm almost every coaching call is that I see fear like in people.
Yeah.
So if there's an opportunity, so this has happened a couple of times this week, where I've had clients who there's been like maybe an opportunity that's maybe just slightly out of their skill set, and when we've been talking it through, they've been like, they've been making excuses, like, I'm not sure if I'm going to apply. It's not the right time. I'm busy. I've got so many things going on. And I've been saying, look, we're in such a competitive environment at the moment. So if you don't try it, you're never going to know. And it's just having those conversations like all the time. So I really feel that I'm more of I think we mentioned this last week, but more of a confidence coach than like actually, like talking about, actually getting that ideal job. So, which is love. So I absolutely love like motivating people and
Mm.
getting them to see the best in themselves as well, or believing in themselves. What about
It's
you?
such
What you sorry?
the fear thing kind of manifests in a whole range of things, I think, like not putting, not being consistent, or not putting yourself out there, or it's not the right time, or I'm not ready. And I think, yeah, as we said, like a big part of what we do is around helping people understand what their strengths are and that they can do it. Because when you look for a job, we don't sit down through if everything's going well and go do an evaluation of where we should go next and what we're fantastic at. It's kind of when something's happened that we can't stand where we're at, or we've lost the job or whatever, that we go, and then what am I going to do next? And then you're not quite in the best place to do it a lot of the time, because you've got all of that stuff going on in the background.
Yeah, so most people are driven. I think I can't remember the stats, but like say 80% of people are driven by pain instead of like pleasure, and it is. So I'm just thinking back into like my career. So I've been made redundant a couple of times. I've even been like in a few like sales jobs, been threatened that if I didn't hit my sales target, then like you're out the door, and then you make that, I guess, that choice or that decision. Okay, do I stay? Do I try and fight for my job? And then, if I do, and if I'm in there and like, what is that atmosphere going to be like? And then it's like, oh, I could maybe just try something else, another opportunity, a different industry, like within like sales. And it's, it's just making that decision and then committing to it and then putting that action in.
Yeah. So five good habits for job seekers. What's number one for you?
Right. So number one it would be actually tracking your jobs. So I'm a bit old school. I know that there's apps and web scrapers where you can, when you're looking at job boards, take the information and it will automatically put it into a spreadsheet for you. So the reason that I say that is because, say for instance, you're in a shopping center, like you're doing some shopping, you've applied to, blankets of lots of different jobs, say like 20 jobs, and then you get a call from, say, if it's a recruiter or a hiring manager, and you actually take that call and they say, oh, hi Dre, is now a good time to talk? Most people will actually say like yes, and they'll have a conversation, and then what will happen is that they'll be like, oh, this has happened so many times, and it's happened. People have done it to me when I've been talking about jobs. They've said, oh, what job was this actually about? And that is really unprofessional. So if that happens, the best thing to do is just say, oh, I'm so sorry, now's not a good time. I'm in the middle of something, or I'm out shopping. Can I give you a call later on this afternoon or even tomorrow morning? And then once you actually call them back, you're going to have all the information, say, on the spreadsheet, the job description, your resume in front of you. And like, say if you get a bit forgetful, you can, look at your resume, look at the job description, and then you'll just be a lot more confident about what's going on.
It's a funny thing because from that very first phone call, that's part of their recruitment process. When I was a recruiter, I used to expect that people knew that I would be. It was a little unfair, that they would be primed, ready to take my call, because it was good for me. So that's fantastic tip. Like, just be prepared. So when you're in the right space, you've got your job description, you're mentally ready. You know what job it is, and you're ready for the standard questions. Yeah.
So because I was just on that, I can understand if you're desperate for a job and you're just sending like loads of resumes out, but definitely keep a track of what's happening, and like say maybe who you've spoken to in the company, and what position they are as well, if you're, say, like targeting people on LinkedIn as well. So it's extremely important.
Fantastic. All right. Tip number 2.
Okay, so tip number 2 is there's a thing called the periodic personality type. Ooh. So I want people not to be a periodic personality type, and I'll just explain what that is. So that is when, say, it's Monday, and you've seen loads of jobs on Seek or LinkedIn, and then you've applied for, say, 10 or 20 jobs, and you feel fantastic. You're like, oh, I'm amazing. Look how many jobs I've applied for. I feel so good about myself. And then for the next week or 2 weeks, you do absolutely nothing. So it's all about having that consistency. So yes, apply for, like maybe 10 jobs on the Monday, 10 on the Tuesday, Wednesday, and just being consistent. That's what it comes down to.
It's a funny thing, isn't it? Because I really do think that gap where you're not doing stuff, and I'm thinking more along the lines of, say, networking and reaching out to people, is that gap where fear, fear sets in, and I think you can think you're not going to be successful. So then the longer that gap is, the less likely you are to keep going on stuff. Whereas, I think we really like small, consistent wins. Our brain likes small, consistent wins. Would you agree with that, or what are your thoughts on that?
Totally agree. Yeah, because it comes down to the sense of achievement. So if you are getting that small win, then it's like, oh, okay, this is awesome. Then you'll try a little bit harder, or you'll do a little bit more. You'll get another win, and it's just stacking those wins. So definitely use all tools. I say all tools and resources. So don't just rely on Seek. Don't just rely on contacting people on LinkedIn, or even just waiting for recruiters to hire you. You've got to be doing absolutely everything, speaking to everyone. So I guess your job is to find, if you're not working, your job is to find a job, is a saying.
And I think I'd whack in some self-care as part of that good habit as well, because you can't be your most creative self when you're tired and run down, and you've got to be creative. You've got to be thinking laterally. You've got to sometimes think on your feet a lot of the time when you're looking for a job as well. So, yeah.
I love that. So you just reminded me. So last Saturday, I was working with a client on her LinkedIn profile, and she'd had an absolutely big week. So I think her dad had passed away, I think 4 or 5 years before, and then I won't go into the details, but she was sorting out some I guess information to do with that case, and I think I think her pet was ill as well, and I just said, look, don't worry we'll finish our coaching call, but don't worry about doing anything else that I've required of her. I was just take the rest of the weekend off, relax, watch Netflix, and then she sent me a message on Monday just saying, oh, thank you so much, I really needed that. And because sometimes it's go, and we never take any time for ourselves. So self-care is extremely important.
Great. Habit number 3.
Tip number 3 is knowing your resume inside out. So I come across a lot of sales professionals or salespeople, and it's so when I'm asking them questions about their resume, it's okay, so what were your role and responsibilities? And it's blah, blah, blah. And it's just it's actually, you've actually put that on your form. This is a sales document effectively to the world, and you're selling yourself, and they don't know exactly what they did, maybe because it was a long time ago, and they don't know. With sales guys and girls, you need to know what your targets were, and also what your results and what you achieved, and that's so important. And a key here is expressing that information either as a percentage or as a monetary value. So if there's any salespeople watching, because other directors and senior leaders love that sort of information that they can quickly absorb as well. So know absolutely everything on your resume, and just be confident and certain when you're delivering that information. So practicing.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I guess the underlying assumption is with salespeople is that they're driven by numbers and by achievement. So you really do need to know inside out what that number is, or that percentage is on your CV.
Yeah, so the good and great salespeople, they know their numbers, but
Yeah.
the mediocre, they'll just try and wing it, or they'll try and sell you in the actual interview as well. So it's funny, and I find that a lot of salespeople, they can sell products, services, whether that's tangible or intangible, but they find it very difficult to actually sell themselves as well.
Yeah. Again, I think that's that confidence thing, like we were saying, a big part of our job is to help people understand what they can sell, but how good they are as well. So, yeah. I might chuck in another comment on that with what's on your CV sort of more broadly is that a lot of people represent them as their job selves, as their job description. But, like it's like you're in HR and you do da-da-da-da-da, or you're in marketing and you do whatever. But I find a lot of success I've had with clients with CVs is actually the before and after. It's the story approach. It's like, here's the challenge and here's what I did. So, and then it engages people into, understanding some context of the job as well. So, which is, it's a sales approach as well. But just, there's different ways to structure your CV, but getting your voice, your story, your, for want of a better word, journey in your career is a really interesting thing to get across as well. So I should start a one-woman campaign on not making CVs so boring, because most of them are.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? So just remind me, what's your view on, I guess, do you think video like CVs are going to be more sort of like prevalent? Have you got like
Look, I think they are. Because I think organisations are using the video interviewing as a shortcut, or recruitment shortcut. Most people hate them, like really don't like, you know what I mean? They really don't like those. I've got 2 minutes to answer those questions and I've got to look at myself and whatever. So I think they are. I just think it might, but I don't know if it's as fast as as the technology takes us. Do you know what I mean? So there's still some very conservative employers, but these things, I mean, LinkedIn has been around since 2004, 5, maybe earlier. And I think it's really just coming into its own as a technology that people embrace. So maybe it's the same with video CVs. I don't know. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so exactly the same as yours. And with LinkedIn, I've been speaking to lots of people that have been looking for jobs, and I've like, do you have a LinkedIn profile? And they're like, oh, what's that? And it's
they say my LinkedIn profile's not working, and then you go to look and you're like, yeah, but you got no information on that. It's like, how is that supposed to work?
So
we say this with love, okay? We're not picking on anyone.
Yeah, definitely. So it's I guess people need to be educated. So it's just so powerful as well. So can I just give you a quick story?
Yes,
so
please.
So the lady that I mentioned on Saturday that I was helping, I told her to take the weekend off. So me and my assistant have been working on her profile, and then on Tuesday we had a coaching call in the morning, and actually on the call we were contacted by 3 recruiters, and so we formulated a message getting back to them. One recruiter got back to us saying that he had 2 possible opportunities. And as I mentioned about the fear earlier, this was what happened. So the first thing that she said, she got really excited. She was like, oh, I can't believe that this is happening. And with me, I looked like an absolute superstar, because this was in real-time social proof. And then I could see the fear sort of come over to her face, and she was like, oh, I'm not ready. We haven't done everything to my CV, and the LinkedIn profile, we haven't completely finished it. And she was like, oh, I'll give him a call back. I'll tell him to call on Friday. And I was like, and this was on Tuesday, and I was like, look, if we wait till Friday, it's going to be too long. It's extremely competitive right now. So how about if we contact him now, just say, look, I'm available for the next couple of hours, or you can contact me, anytime, tomorrow. And she was like, oh, okay then, okay. And
Excellent.
then like she contacted him back, and then we were still on our coaching call, and then 20 minutes later, her phone started to ring, and she took the call, and I put myself on mute, and then I could hear the conversation, and then I just went away, made a sandwich, and yeah, she was just so like happy.
Mm.
And if that would have happened, she probably would have lost credibility, and she may have lost that opportunity as well. So,
Mm.
if there's anything that comes up, jump on it straight away.
Yeah, I think again, it's the fear is much bigger than the actual issue that might come up. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yes.
and it's always going to be better than you think, I think, with those
Yes.
sorts of things. So, wow, what a great story. So you were doing a live coaching call, and then
Yeah, on Zoom. So
yeah,
so
and then
on
some
Zoom, and
people reached
then
out to her via LinkedIn or just
via
yeah.
LinkedIn. So I'm actually in control of her LinkedIn profile. So I
Yeah.
was sharing my screen with her, and then
Ah,
she saw like the message,
yeah,
pop up, and then she
yeah,
was like, "Oh, what's that?" And we clicked on it,
yeah,
formulated a reply,
yeah,
and then it's just amazing, to see.
yeah. It's a really interesting thing. Like we had Ben on last year, and he had, I can't remember the numbers, but he got a job within 2 weeks. But one of the things that was really critical to his success was that he formed this group, and they worked together on, his like all peers looking for a job all around the world, but they did things together. And I think that kind of, if you are, like you say, that's the benefit of your coaching call, is that you're there as a champion for that person, and you're more like that kind of collective energy helps you as
Yeah,
well, or helps people. So
yeah,
yeah,
totally.
fantastic.
So having a coach or a community
Yeah,
of peers or people to help is just, it's so valuable and so important.
yeah. So are we up to tip number
I
4,
think,
are we?
number 4.
Yep.
So tip number 4 is rejection. So
Mm.
being able to overcome rejection. So say for
Yeah.
instance you've sent out your resume to 20, 30, 40, 50 different like companies, and you're not getting anything back, then you definitely need to change something.
Mm.
But I guess it's being able to accept that and just keep going, and not letting rejection like overcome you. And also, I think people find it a lot harder when they've had like an interview. So I've spoken to a few people recently that have got to that final interview like maybe 2, 3 times,
Mm.
and they've just lost out and they can't figure out, what it is. So it's
Mm.
still keeping up that enthusiasm, trying to work out, what was it that went wrong. And it's
Mm.
especially hard for people when they're not actually getting like constructive like feedback, because
Mm.
you're just looking at, was it something I said? Was it something that I did? Was it, was the other person, sometimes you just don't really know.
Mm.
So it's not being consumed by that rejection, and just keep going. So it's like anything in life. Don't quit, don't give up, just keep going.
Mm. It's a funny thing too, because sometimes, like with like you might want to get feedback from an organization, but you sometimes got to question like the value of, like it's assuming that there's more rigor in the recruitment process than there is, I think, to
Yes.
then
Yeah.
think that you're going to get some great feedback on what it is that you're not doing. So it might be something, but it might not. It might just be that something the other candidate connected better, or that
Yeah.
they could put their finger on something, or that you weren't doing something, or you weren't the right match. But sometimes it's, the feedback that you might long for is not going to be particularly useful to you as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally agree 100%. Yeah.
And there is sometimes like the unspoken, like the thing that is actually, I've had this with a few people I've worked with, that there is something about them and how they're showing up that will get in the way. And you know, sometimes like one particular person I was working with, you know, they'd answer questions, but they would always go for the big picture, and there was never detail in, like in the, say, the STAR approach, and so they were missing out because they just weren't explaining the how of what they were doing. So, and then, you know, I had another client who just, people were making very quick decisions about him because he didn't look the part that they were hiring for. So, you know, sometimes you do, like having a coach is that's your job, to kind of give the hard news as well as the good news as well. So yeah,
definitely have to be honest and open about what's happening, and So, and if they change you know maybe one or two things, then they're going to get the ideal outcome that they're looking for.
Yeah. So how do you, like in your work, like what's a good tip for, you know, overcoming rejection? Because you would have had get a lot of rejection, say in sales and various things. How do you bounce back from stuff like that?
So it's so me personally, I love that. That's a great question.
I thought I'd just put you on the spot. You know?
Yeah, no, I love it. So I was just thinking back. So I had a period. It must have been, maybe about 6 weeks ago, where I was making probably like 10 sales calls, and I just couldn't get a bite. It was just like no to like my services and my programs, no. And then I was just thinking, okay, like, like what is it? Am I doing something wrong? But it comes down to, so this is how I look at it. If someone's not going to work with me, it's going to be like one of like three reasons. So one, they don't see value in like my offer.
Yep.
Number two, they don't like me. So like,
impossible. No.
Yeah, I know, right? And then like number three is they don't actually like trust themselves. So they don't believe that they would actually be able to maybe commit or even take the action and follow all the way through. So it's one of those three reasons. And with, say, maybe 3 or 4 of those calls, I know that they probably weren't ready like now, because I think, as you mentioned like earlier on, sometimes people need to either hit rock bottom or something needs to happen for them for that trigger to happen, for them to want to make a change. And I think 3 or 4 of them weren't really ready to do that. So so it's one of those 3 reasons. So I didn't take it personally. Actually, no, that's a lie. Sometimes you do take it personally. But yeah, just keep going. Pick yourself up, and then just try something different, try a different approach as well. So I know there was a couple of them were like referrals or recommendations, and I'm probably going to say I might have been a little bit in my ego because it was like a referral or a recommendation. I was thinking, oh great, they already know everything about me, so I don't actually have to talk about everything that I've done and my results. I just thought, for some reason, I just thought that they already knew that, but then that was something that I should have communicated.
Yeah, it's always something that I think we're guilty of making assumptions on the other end about who we're talking to as well. So what's important to you may not be important to them. So your thing is like understand the reasons that you might be, like have a very clear view of why you might be rejected. Try and work on whatever that comes up in terms of things to improve.
Yes, I think so. Sometimes you need to like meet people like where they're at. So like for me, it's identifying, okay, do I think it's like because of me, like maybe they just don't like me, so I'm not everyone's like cup of tea. Or is it with my offer or what I've presented, could they not actually see the value like in that? So like the money that I'm asking for compared to the value that I'm giving them, so maybe there's that discrepancy. Or is it a case that they just don't really have that trust and belief in themselves?
Yeah, perfect. Tip number 5, or habit number 5.
Right. I'm going to say networking. So I think we mentioned it earlier. So making sure that you network absolutely like everywhere that you go. So even if you're going to the local shop, just actually talking to people and being curious, because I find a lot of people will get or create their own opportunities of friends or family or friends of friends, or even if they're like out to dinner or they've bumped into someone, a conversation gets going. So making sure that you go to like networking events in your particular industry or the industry that you want to go into, and also networking online, which is with, I guess, the current climate, is a massive one. So there's a correct way and there's a wrong way to network with people online. So you wouldn't, so say if there's a key decision maker, you've connected on LinkedIn, you wouldn't say, oh, thanks for the connection request, do you have a job? Because that is not going to fly. So you just need to have a meaningful connection, and it's like, like when you first meet, I guess, a girl or a guy, and you're in that like you're flirting, and you're in that sort of that fun, okay, might not be fun for everyone, but that sort of like fun period where you're sort of going back and forth, and just sort of like enticing them, and then like things start to build up, and then you have like a proper relationship, and then that's when you can, like maybe ask them out for a coffee, ask them out for a drink, just taking that sort of approach and not diving straight in. Did that make sense?
Yeah, it's a great saying that I heard. It's like, don't ask somebody to marry you on the first date.
Yes. Yeah.
And because that you scare them off.
You need to wine and dine them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's that. I mean, I work with my clients doing a lot of online networking, and it works best where you have a genuine affinity with you. Like, you can feel a genuine affinity with somebody, whether it's the direction that they've come, whether it's where they've started their career, whether it's what they're sharing, on LinkedIn or whatever. But it works best where you are genuinely interested in connecting up with that person and having a conversation. So the kind of like, do you have any job type approach, that is like the proposal. it's right, I've seen your profile, I think we should get married. Sounding a bit creepy now, so I'm sure we're compatible. It's like, I know everything about you and you know everything about me. So
yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And it's funny too, just, again, that kind of networking, like online and connecting up is a numbers game too. And I think it's good that people know the numbers. So don't expect that 100% of people are going to accept your connection request on LinkedIn or accept, a coffee or reply to your email. And just like dating, I think the trail goes cold at various stages. So,
yeah, that's right.
People seem really enthusiastic and then suddenly you don't hear from them, and that happens quite a lot as well. So,
exactly. I'm not going to say exactly, but very similar to like dating apps such as like Tinder, Bumble.
Yeah. And also, I guess the other thing about it is that just because you're putting yourself up, you're putting your expectations up here. So whatever disappointment is always going to hit, take you down to there. And so it is really a roller coaster ride of, feeling great and then not so great and terrible and, so on as well. So, yeah.
You need to strap in and be prepared for it.
That's right. So what about Naish and I are being big on habits this year, because I got inspired by this book, Tiny Habits, that I've been reading, about small incremental changes to make big changes, basically, and that, if we make things too big, we tend to lose the motivation to do them. So, and one of the most critical things to creating a good habit is the ease of which you can do it and how much you enjoy it. So I'm just wondering, like, do you have a habit just for your business or have had a habit in your career that has really set you up for success in what you do, or, you know, help you achieve a goal basically?
Yeah, so for me, I believe that your physiology affects your psychology.
Yeah.
So going to the gym or going for a walk in the morning, I know whenever I do that, I end up having a much better day than I normally would if I didn't go. So the gym for me it's a second home.
Yeah.
So I can go there. So I go really ridiculously early. I won't tell you what time, but ridiculously early in the morning. So there's nobody there, and I love being on the treadmill, either like listening to like podcasts or things that are going on, say like in our industry, and I can actually, it generates like thoughts and ideas, and that's what I love. So that's something that I've done for years. And so I've just written that book down as well that you mentioned. And what I've done at the start of the year, I created my own sort of challenge. So it's like a 90-day challenge. I called it 2190. So 21 days to form a habit and 90 days to build a lifestyle. And I had like some absolutely crazy things on there, such as I wouldn't see my friends for 90 days, only unless it was for sort of business. I wouldn't see women, wouldn't go on dates. I'd go to the gym like every single day. And there was probably maybe about 7 or 8 things that I was going to sort of give up, and I was just going to be focused, and it was just going to be on work. And every day I'd record a video journal of what had happened during the day, sort of like the positives, the negatives, things that I could improve. And I probably got 6 weeks into it, and because I was trying to manage so much things, I'd break promises to myself, so things would fall away and I wouldn't keep. So I'm really interested to read that book, and as we mentioned before, just stacking on those little habits, those tiny habits, and building on those to create something as well. So I'm glad I've gone through the experience.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing because, I think one of the things that we do is we kind of punish ourselves. Like, I'm going to eat better, or I'm going to not go out and have a party, or not do da-da-da-da-da, and make huge goals. And I know that, you know, when I've done that, it hasn't really worked, or hasn't really stuck. So the book's really fascinating, and I'm trying to apply that into the work that I do with people. But it is a lot around small wins, you know, small things, like having a trigger for the behavior. But it's also having the aspiration. I'm butchering this, so read the book. It's having the aspiration, and then it's looking at some golden behaviors that will get you there, and they're the things that you want to set up as your habits, and then there's a model to set those as habits. So interesting though, with your gym, how did you first start? What was actually the trigger for you to have that embedded in your lifestyle, which is, you know, the basis of a habit, really?
It probably would have been from going to personal development events, or, you know, watching like mentors and other sort of like coaches and what their like habits or morning routines. So for me, my morning routine is massive. It's huge. So I'll go to the gym, I'll listen to the podcasts, I'll set up my day, but then I'll also do like affirmations and incantations. And I've got a little mantra that I say to myself for like my coaching clients to get me in that mindset, which is awesome. So it probably would have been seeing other, I guess, like successful people and what they do, and modeling. Just trying to model what they do.
So having the interest to start off with, and then working out what works for you? And
Yeah. So
yeah,
I've always loved sport and like being active, and it's just, and I know how. So it's all about the feeling, like how
yeah,
good I feel. So I go to the gym, and it's like, I feel like I've achieved so much, and I'm mentally strong, physically strong, and I,
yeah,
because yeah, there's going to be fires, sometimes fires throughout the day, and sometimes you need to put out that fires. And if you're feeling great, then those fires are a lot more, I guess, insignificant
mm,
than if you weren't feeling, because it'd probably just be a big bonfire or
mm,
something.
yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing. I mean, if people are looking for a job, knowing that that kind of other work, so to speak, that can set you up. So, having a good morning routine, whatever works for you in terms of, setting yourself up physically to take on the mental challenge of the day as well. And there's quite a bit of research around, I think, around how your physiology impacts your confidence, for example. And there's that
Yeah.
great Amy Cuddy TED talk around doing the power pose before you do your
Love those. Yes.
meeting or interview, and standing up. Like, I always do LinkedIn Live standing up now because just seems easier. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah. Well, we haven't had any questions because we've answered everything. So go us. And so, is there any final sort of words of wisdom that you want to leave people with around job search success and shortening your time in the job market?
yeah. So definitely the quickest way to, I guess, to anything is to either model what people have done, or also get a coach. So I don't
Mm,
just mean in, say, I guess, like our area, but also in other areas of our life. It can apply to anything. So if you find people that have either walked your path or have done, what you want to do, then it's just the quickest way to success. So whether that's, relationship, finances, career, jobs, whatever that might be, if you want that result, it will save you so much time. So the most precious thing that we have is time,
mm,
and it's all about taking action now.
mm. Yeah. Because, a coach can definitely help. And somebody like yourself who's been in the market, helped lots and lots of people, understands the pain, can be on your cheerleader on your
And
side.
you as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, yeah.
That is our goal, our mission. Okay, well, we're coming up to 45 minutes. We don't have any questions because we've answered them all, as I mentioned before. So, yeah, exactly. So, next week is Easter, so time to take a good break. Naish and I will be back after Easter. We will be continuing the theme of habits and good habits in different aspects of career and job search. If you haven't followed the hashtag, follow the hashtag Career Care Package. If you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a subscribe. We need to get on towards our path of world domination there. It's going a little slowly. So, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks. So, bye everybody.